So here's what I learned from a billionaire. So I was a businessman, investing in property, making money, progressing through my life, building a business. I had 10 staff, a nice six-figure salary. I had children, a wife, a family, a mortgage, a Porsche 911 Carrera, C2S. I was comfortable on paper. A dream life, you could say, looking from the outside. Now I'd take my children to school, I'd pick them up. Everyone said they envied my life at the time because what it looked like, I had it all. And then boom, just like that, I lost everything, literally everything, when I was sent to prison, facing life in hell, which is my new home. Now you're probably thinking, why? Well, let me tell you why. My now ex-wife, she had an affair, and her lover had the crap beaten out of him. So I went to prison, technically, for a crime that I hadn't physically committed, if you know what I mean. Now that's pretty shit. Don't do what I did, okay? Now jail was very shit, but that's for another story. Anyways, 4 months, 11 days, I'd been out of prison. So just come out of jail. I'm feeling like I'm reborn. I've got a second chance at life, at business. I've got a fresh start. I've got a clean slate. But I've still got a dirty criminal record. And I've still got another 4.5 more years on probation. Still better than being in prison on the outside. 4.5 years. Anyway, 234 more weeks on the outside. So I looked in the mirror and I smiled. I made it out of here alive. I avoided getting my face slashed in hell over the last 234 weeks. Massive relief. Okay. Now, 8 weeks earlier, I started over from zero. Well, actually, I started over in £175,000 worth of debt. Now I'm thinking, what's the easiest and fastest way that I know to get rich and quick and become successful? Now, I already had the answer. I knew what it was inside me. It was to use my rent arbitrage frameworks. Now, if you don't know, I used these frameworks while I was trapped in prison, and I did a £3.5 million monster Airbnb deal, yes, behind bars, in prison, and some other deals using these frameworks. So this was the way that I knew to get back to the top and become successful again. But this time round, I had something to prove. After 234 weeks in prison in hell, I had to get back. I had to get all my money back. I had to get back to where I was, because everything that I lost and all the time that I lost in prison, in that prison cell, and all the status that I lost, I had to find the way. Now, I've made more money from other property strategies, or every property strategy you could say, in the last 16 years. But right now, I needed the maximum leverage and I needed to go fast. I needed leverage and I needed speed. Because I was broke, let's face it, come on. I've just come out of prison. Who else comes out of prison with, money in their bank, okay? I had no job, I had no income. I was living in a room, in a shared house. I was starting over. And just like the gurus say, if I had to start over, this is what I would do. That was me. I did start over from the bottom. Now this is what I had to do. And this is what I did. Real life, not the rah-rah bullshit if I had to start over. I lived it. That is and was my life. Big difference. Everything is different when it's real life and you have to do it. Different thoughts, different emotions, different actions, different everything. It's real. That's what I did. Okay, so I had to get rich and quick and be a better businessman, because now I remember what I'd learned from my billionaire mentor in prison. So I searched online on Rightmove for the most expensive properties I could find in Brighton that would work on a rent arbitrage basis. Now that's when I found a brand new property in Brighton. It was up for $1 million. 1 million with an M dollars, okay? Now you're probably thinking I have, no business being involved with a 7-figure deal, first deal, especially me coming straight out of prison with a criminal record. Wrong. I remembered something I learned from my mentor in prison. He was a billionaire. Now, I now call it my inception framework. Now, I will be going deeper into that later, or showing you a bit more about that, so you guys can go away and, use it for yourself and understand how it works and have some success later. So, back to the story. I found the $1 million property. It was brand new. It was perfect. It was a real mansion, and I arranged the viewing. But there was a problem. At the viewing, with the owner standing there, I could feel the sweat running from my armpits. I was afraid. It's a big deal. I'm on probation. Am I good enough? These are the thoughts in my head. Now, I remember those negative voices in my head saying, Ryan, you're not good enough. Ryan, you're an imposter. Ryan, you don't even have the money. Ryan, you're a criminal. You're on probation. You don't deserve to be here. You can't do this. This is a $1 million fucking dollar deal. You're fucking broke. You're living in a room in a shared house. You haven't even got a car. Stop. Stop. Now that's when the thoughts of letting my 3 children down again. I let them down the first time when I went to jail. Now, if I let them down again, those thoughts, if I can't find a home for them, if I can't feed them, that was haunting me if I failed. Now, if I didn't provide for my children, my ex-wife, she wouldn't let me see them. Now this overwhelmed me with fear. What if they don't love me? If I don't do this? If I don't do this deal, they're not gonna love me. These are the fears going through my head, standing in front of the owner. So I managed to control the fear, the anxiety, keep it all down. The sweat, luckily, didn't start running down my face or across my top lip or my forehead. It was just under my armpits. I'm saying to myself, self-talk, Ryan, you've got this. Ryan, you've got this. I'm talking to my alter ego, you've got this. And for the last 4 years in my prison cell, I actually practiced and played this day out in my head on every piece of paper I could find or get hold of in jail, which is tough. Now, I'd rehearsed this day thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Now, I'd perfected what to say, how to say it, because I learned another skill from my billionaire mentor that I put into my inception framework. Now, this does all the persuading. It uses deep, dark psychology to convince the owner of the property to do one thing. Say yes to my offer. So all their fears and objections become irrelevant. So they have to say yes to my offer, and they have to give me their property. Now, from the first day I learned this from my billionaire mentor, I've only ever used this framework with every single deal that I have now done, because it converts like crazy, like nothing else I've ever seen in 25 years, that's 2.5 decades in business. Now you're probably thinking, what is this? You're probably thinking you want this. Okay, later, don't worry. I'll be sharing with you guys how you can get it, and you don't need to pay for it, so don't worry. Okay, back to the story. So just like the Godfather, the Don Corleone, I made him an offer he cannot refuse. I asked for everything that I wanted. I asked for a long lease. I asked for a rent-free period. I said I want fucking curtains and blinds and furniture and deep cleaned and more and a rent-free period and everything else. I just negotiated on the price. Sorry, I negotiated on the terms, not the price, which is something else I learned from my billionaire mentor. Never negotiate on the price. Always on the terms. So then I revealed the price, the full price, and I just paused. Will this work in real life is what I was thinking. I'm thinking to myself, I have no money. I can't offer anything else. I don't even have the money today. I have no income. So I had to make this work. Now, I was desperate to feed my family, to find a way to start over. I needed this fucking deal. Everything depended on it. My life, it was like my life, like my children's life, all depended on it. Have you ever been in that position in your life? Where your life can transform in that one moment. Everything was hinged on this moment. Now, this was my plan to make my way out of being broke and go straight to the top, because I'm standing here negotiating a £1 million deal, the first deal as a free man, and I'm still on probation. $1 million deal. I'm still on probation, and I'm thinking, worrying, stressed. Is he going to accept the offer? Will he say yes? Will he say no? What ifs or what ifs or what ifs? Should I be here? Am I imposter? Anyway, that's when he accepted my offer there and then. I felt a tornado of emotions. I had to hide them from him, because if he witnessed these or saw these, he would doubt me. He wouldn't think he made the right choice if he saw how excited I was with those emotions inside me. So I just had to use everything I learned from my billionaire mentor to use it face to face. I used all the stops, everything he showed me, everything he taught me over those years, and now it worked in real life. I've just added a $1 million property to my portfolio. The first deal I done as a free man. Now I know this shit really works. It's not just words, it's not just theory. I use everything I learned that I put in my Inception framework. Now, I'm in the 7-figure business with one deal. I'm on fire inside. The owner starts to tell me about the payments. The money he wants up front, the big deposit, etc. Then I've got to furnish the property. It's empty, it's brand new. I literally needed thousands. I've just come out of jail. But guess what? I probably didn't even have 1% of the money I needed, but I didn't care. I did not care. I just said, yes, no problem. Now, I knew this framework I just used meant I had time to go and find the money, some thinking time, some breathing time. I had to find the way. Now, I used everything I knew about leverage and speed that I've learned since the year 2000. Now, this is one of my superpowers that I learned from my billionaire mentor in prison and Robert Kiyosaki back in the year 2000. Now, I had no money to put up front into this deal, no money at all. But that's not going to stop me. I had to find the way. I just used something else that I learned from a prison friend. Somebody else in prison taught me something else, another framework, okay? Now, let me explain. This guy is a white-collar criminal. He's called Alan. He was the UK's most prolific car-ringing fraudster. He used to get finance on stolen cars. It's as if he's getting paid for the car twice and he never even owned it in the first place. Now, it was a genius what he did. Not stealing cars, I'm not talking about breaking the law, but the concept behind it. So what I did is I modeled his concept. Of course, I made it legal and I made it transferable onto property because I didn't want to go back to prison. I've already spent a long time in there. Now, I called this framework cashback. How to withdraw £5,000 to £10,000 or more from a rental property, like an ATM machine that's broken and just keeps spitting out money, to reinvest into other investment properties. Now, right now, while it's still legal, and I just escaped a life sentence. I don't want to go back to jail. So I had to make sure it was legal. Now what it does is it enables anyone to get a cash back payment out of a property that you just rented, okay, from an agency, that you can use the money to put down on any other property you want. Kind of like an ATM machine that's broken and it's not connected to your bank when you put the card in, all right? Amazing. Now you can withdraw whatever you want up to the full annual rent. Let me give you an example. If the rent is £2,500 a month, times 12 months, you can withdraw up to 30 grand on day one when you get the keys and find a tenant. Of course, it's got to be structured properly. Now, if a letting agent won't let you do it, the letting agent won't let you do it if they know, because they're against this. So I can tell them it has to be structured properly in a particular way. Now, the owner of the property, they wouldn't really like to participate in these creative financing methods. They would probably say, that's not possible, it's impossible, you can't do that, it's illegal, it's against the law, it would kill the deal right at the moment you said you're gonna get cash back from the property. About 10, 20 or 30 grand. So you have to structure it perfectly with the landlords, with the contract, with the letting agency, with the tenant, and make it all legal, because you don't want to get a knock at the door from the fucking fraud police, okay? So it all has to be 100% legal, legit, and ethical, as it was. Now that's where the magic comes in. I'm serious, this works. Now I'm actually proof that this works. And not only once, because this is also exactly how I self-funded 26.5 million pounds of property acquisitions and fucking hotels and commercial buildings and hostels with no loans, no investors, no finance, no mortgages, no banks, no fucking JV partners, when I had no money in my bank. Now you're probably thinking, what the fuck? What the fuck is this all about? How can you do this? How does this work? Now, when I finally figured everything out, these frameworks, this system, this cashback that self-funded this first $1 million deal, that's when I had the epiphany, knowing that this one thing is how I went on to scaling my business from 0 to 25.5 million pounds, and fast, through the lockdown. Now, I was filled with emotions. I had to hold back the tears until I got outside and, walk down the road a little bit further, away from the property, down the street, to let all of those powerful emotions of achievement and success out. I spoke to myself, I said, Ryan, you are back in business. You've unlocked the secret to printing money and getting your time back. I lost 4.5 years in jail. Now, this is how I get my life back. Motherfucker, you just did a $1 million deal. You've got a mansion for your children. You're on probation. You've only been back at work for 8 weeks after escaping a potentially life sentence in prison. My life could have been completely different. Imagine that, life in prison. I was lucky. I only spent 9 years. Lucky. Whew, 9 years. That's when I knew my children would be proud of me. They'll be proud of me again. They would love me again. Now I've done this deal. Just imagine doing your first deal after 5 years, just under, in prison, that replaces your income, your current salary, for the next 3 years. And it literally only took me about 34 minutes with the owner face to face to do this deal. And remember, I had no money, none. Fresh out of prison, living in a room, in a shared house, no income, no money. That's when I knew I'd created something quite dangerous and genius. It was at that moment that my life and anyone else's life who follows these frameworks could be transformed. It would never be the same again from that moment. Whew, goosebumps. Now I remember a few days later, I got the keys. I didn't buy the property, and the upfront money that the owner asked for, I just used my cashback framework to pull all the money out upfront from another property that I just rented. I literally printed the money I needed from another deal to do this deal using that framework. I'd literally found a way to create my own money tree. Something else, I wasn't even credit checked or referenced. I've just agreed a 3-year lease, no money down, on a $1 million asset I now control, that later in 1 month in the summer on Airbnb, I withdrew £17,500 out of that rental property. Guess what I did with it? I just put it into more deals, 4 or 5 more deals for deposits and rents in advance to make even more money and scale my business and income further and faster using leverage and speed. Now I just created a home for my children. The average salary for the next 3 years is completely replaced from the income from this property in 34 minutes work. Now I remember thinking after doing this deal, it was actually easy. It was actually easy. I now felt I belong here, doing these property deals. Because before this deal, I was thinking too small about average deals and average rents and average salaries. I was playing too small, but doing lots of small deals. That's what I was thinking. Now the way is not to work your ass off, to take 20 times the risk for 20 times less money, when you can just go and do one big deal. Now I just had to let go of my old beliefs, take on these new beliefs that this is now the new way of me and how to invest in property. Have you ever felt more, or ever felt like more than one of your dreams has come true all at the same moment? Imagine your life transforming just like that with one deal. Can you imagine how that feels if you were in my shoes? Prison to a $1 million deal, the first deal with this framework. Now on the train back, I had no car, I was broke, so I had to get the train. I went back over these frameworks that I just used to close this $1 million dream fucking mansion. I found the weak points that nearly tripped me up with the owner. I changed how I presented my offer to the owner. I simplified it. I removed all the parts that were unnecessary. I simplified it. I then turned my offer into an email template so I can avoid the conflict of face-to-face negotiations or stepping on a landmine that could potentially blow up or blow the deal up at any minute if I said the wrong thing at the wrong time. So I used this new version on the next deal that I quickly found. And I'd found a way to go on to do £26.5 million of property in 20 months through the COVID lockdown when other people were dying and businesses were going bust and there was no money around. It was like a global recession, using nothing but my inception and cashback frameworks. I repeated the same process again and again and again and again on the next deals and again. Everything I was doing, everything that worked, I had learned from my billionaire mentor. It was all to do with leverage and speed, which is the only way I got this deal and started to make money from property so fucking fast it feels illegal. But it wasn't. I'd finally found my way to reach my goal, which was to get better at business and get rich quick, because I had a lot to prove. Imagine, after going through all of that pain, facing life in prison and all of that loss, lost my home, my children, my wife, my car, my Porsche 911, my business, my income, my status, everything. So all those haters, they was expecting me to stay broke, maybe even take my own life in prison to escape that 9 years of hell that I was going through. The end.